for the rich and one for the middle and lower class. The wealthy just know the taxation laws and how to play the game better, and that's generally due to having specialist advisors, which I alluded to before about having your team of professionals or our advisory network around you. So a quick question. Who pays tax? And I'm hoping you all say yes to that question. And who feels they pay too much tax? And I'm betting you all are saying yes to that one. So then, who would minimize their tax without spending too much time with our mate here behind bars? Now, this is where the combinations I mentioned at the beginning come into play. Who would like to know how to swap your hard-earned tax dollars for high-growth passive cash flow assets? Exponentially. 3 o'clock, it's bird gets the worm. So and use an analogy that we'll all easily plan. An actionable roadmap from where you are today through to your desired retirement age. And the consistent response is an overwhelming no. Put pen to paper and nut out the rest of your life. Trust me, I've tried it and it's a pretty daunting task. You know, thoughts instantly crop up like, what if I get it wrong? Or do I only get one go at it? And of course that's not the case. But with some key questions asked the right way, it's funny how easily it all pops out and then everything becomes crystal clear. Okay, let's switch gears and delve into understanding property cycles. Firstly, it's vital to note that a full cycle takes approximately 7 to 10 years. But I'll come back to this point and its importance shortly. So when we're talking about timing, educated investors refer to the property clock. It's just a way of describing where in the property cycle a potential area or property market is. It's pretty straightforward. 12 is the top or peak of the market. 3 is the downswing or falling market. 6, the bottom. 9, the upswing or the rising market. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time here, so I'll just quickly explain each phase and what's happening within the market at each point. Obviously, when the market is at its peak, it is a seller's market, as there is huge demand, and when it is at the bottom, it is a buyer's market, meaning that there is not as much competition for property as there would be at the peak. Okay, so at 4 o'clock, it's winter, dim and dark, and people are sitting on their hands, which means that property prices are subdued and may even be falling slightly. By 6 o'clock, we're at the bottom of the cycle, and this is the low point. Smart investors are keeping an eye on areas on their radar or watch list that they've done their due diligence on, waiting to see a lift in sales volumes, not sales prices. And this is the key and a rule you guys need to jot down. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. This is the bottom of the cycle. Prices are low, so it's time to buy. But here at Positive Property Investment, we would advise you to wait. Wait until it's a confirmed 7 o'clock market. And the rule for a 7 o'clock market is simply this. Sales volumes precedes price growth. If we have 4 consecutive quarters of increased sales volumes, it is time to strike, as we pretty much know that prices will soon be on the increase. Early bird gets the worm, so they say, before the B-grade investors who will pay a slight premium for the same property sometime in the near future. For educated investors, this is the exciting point of the cycle. Things are starting to move. There's a quantifiable activity, and we know that this is the start of a growth stage in the cycle. At 7 o'clock, the educated investors are starting to invest into the market in highly profitable deals, while most of the locals don't even know it's happening. At 8 o'clock, the educated investors are busy investing and doing deals. Property prices may not move very much, but the energy is definitely moving. There's more talk, there's more confidence coming back. Employment's growing in that local area. Jobs are being created. Infrastructure's being put in place. There's lots going on. By 9 o'clock, the market confidence is back. The newspapers are starting to say positive things about particular markets, and B-grade investors are starting to buy. There's plenty of overbidding at auctions and lots of media talk about booming property prices. Usually by 9 o'clock, educated investors are starting to bow out. They've done their deals already, way ahead of the crowd and looking for the next 7 o'clock market. This becomes really obvious by about 10 o'clock. This is really where you don't have to be a brain surgeon to know there's some energy back. Things are looking up. Spring has sprung. Summer's starting to appear and the property market's looking rosy. By 11 o'clock, the C-grade investors are back into the cycle. And this is where the auction numbers are pumped up. Novice or first-time investors are like pigs to the trough, feeling like they're going to miss out and are really pushing their way back into the market. We all know who this lovely lady is from A Current Affair. And when she's sprouting off about property prices in a particular area, it's for certain you want to keep your checkbook in the safe. You will almost certainly be buying into the top of the market and be paying for someone else's equity. At 12 o'clock, the market's at its peak. Prices have climbed and the novice investors are pushing prices higher, trying to leap on board what they see as a non-stop property boom. We, meanwhile, sit back and watch the scramble, and we take advantage of these high property values in a slightly different way, and I'll show you just how in a second. By 1 o'clock, the frenzy is over and property values are tapering off. The cycle moves on, and by 2 o'clock, it's clear that the market is starting to settle. And by 3 o'clock, it's crystal clear to the educated investor that property prices are moving into a period of zero growth or even a slight decline. So now we understand the fundamental elements to a property cycle. Let's move on and talk about what the boom and bust roller coaster would look like to a novice investor. They see a scary, unpredictable mess of ups and downs and find the whole process a bit daunting to use for effective investing. But what an educated investor sees is something totally different. Predictable long-term growth, and more so once you understand the property clock. You can act intelligently and with precision according to where your property is in the cycle. For example, at 12 o'clock, when we know that property values have been pushed to their peak, is a great time to have your property revalued, so we can use the increased equity in that property to invest in new emerging 7 o'clock markets, or migrating equity, I like to call it. So this is how to work with the natural cycle in the property market to build your portfolio. What I'm about to show you is how to build a portfolio much faster than most novice investors. So just to confirm, we buy at 7 o'clock and revalue at 12 o'clock. Then use the equity to buy again at 7 o'clock. And this is how you create and gain great leverage within your portfolio to create wealth and build your portfolio rapidly. Now this is the point I raised earlier, and I'm sure you've all heard the cliche that property doubles every 7 to 10 years. Property doesn't actually double every 7 to 10 years. It can't. Think about the property clock. If it's in an upswing from 7 o'clock to 12 o'clock, then a downswing from 12 to 6, how can it be increasing for the best part of the cycle? It can't. Property usually doubles within 24 to 48 months. However, a full property cycle, yes, absolutely does take 7 to 10 years. So if we're just a backyard localized investor, we would capture only the one cycle every 7 to 10 years. But now that we understand property cycles and timing the property clock, how many cycles can you potentially fit into the same time period? Roughly 3, or what we like to call the 3 times method. It's hardly rocket science, but vital to understand, as it generates a massive difference to the outcome of your portfolio over a far shorter time frame. But let me show you how to speed up your wealth creation exponentially by applying your newfound knowledge the right way. And of course by doing your research, buying and holding in the right market, then migrating your equity to another 7 o'clock market. You can quickly see the compounding effect. When you understand this, you can actually achieve the commonly coined 10 properties in 10 years or less. And this is exactly how it's done. So now we understand property cycles, 7 o'clock and 12 o'clock markets, and applying the 3 times method, you can see how another property investing myth is completely busted. Sure, buy and hold is slow for the novice investor. And you see, fortunately for us, there are multiple cycles happening throughout Australia all the time. That means you can research and pretty much buy your first or next property in a 7 o'clock market without having to wait for our local area to come full circle. You just need the research and of course the team. Then as we build our portfolio, we have different properties in multiple different cycles, at different stages of the cycle, all working to build our wealth for us. There are always opportunities for us to expand our portfolio all the time. And if after doing our research we were to find a 7 o'clock opportunity in Brisbane, we can use the growth in, for example, our property in Melbourne to finance the purchase and get it at just the right time. Remember the migrating equity strategy. And this is just a logical progression in building your portfolio. You use small deposits, little or no holding costs. Real numbers, smart decisions, and you do your research so that you get the timing just right. It's a low effort input and very time efficient investing strategy. Working smart, not hard. So this is where I see the major capital cities currently on the property clock. Sydney is approaching the top of the property cycle. Harvest equity now and move it to southeast Queensland. And Melbourne, much the same. It's approaching top of property cycle, so time to harvest equity now and move it to southeast Queensland. Perth has had its run and now past top of property cycle. Harvest equity and move it to southeast Queensland. Darwin, past top of property cycle. Harvest equity and move it to southeast Queensland. Darwin will have a long way to the